Hello, beautiful moms and entrepreneurs. My name is Charisse Walker, and I'm your host of the Unbreakable Mompreneurs podcast. This is a place where we come together to learn, grow, and inspire. So sit back, relax, and let's get started. Hello. I just wanted to pop in because this is my 150th episode. And although I have many more recorded that are going to be coming out in the next couple weeks, I just wanted to take the time and tell you thank you for watching. And I actually wanted to, because I haven't done anything by myself for a while, and it's late at night and I was editing, but I just wanted to pop in and encourage you, because there's times where you think, why am I doing this? This has been 150 episodes is a lot of episodes to be producing by yourself while you are a realtor and a lender and a mom and writing a book called Flipping the Iceberg. Shameless plug right here. And it's a lot. And last week I wrote down like all the things that I was doing, because they talk about, meaning some of my coaches say, you just pick one thing and you go gung-ho and you focus on that. And so I've really thought about it, and I've thought, do I continue to do this podcast or do I not? And this little bird in the back of my head just keeps telling me, keep going, keep going. And it can get disappointing because, when you only see 4 to 10 people watching at a time, but then they go on and there's hours upon hours of people watching it. They're just, I don't know. But it is a lot of episodes, and the reason why I'm doing it is for you. As a mom, it is hard, and it's really hard, especially in this time, to feel like you're making an impact. A lot of times you feel like you might be spinning your wheels, but I do encourage you, as we continue to go, that you decide to figure out what you want and then take small steps. A good example is a year ago, I decided that I was going to run a marathon before I turned 50. And I'd had a hysterectomy and I was on bed rest for 6 weeks because I had another procedure with that. And so it required that I just kind of lay flat and don't do anything, because it had to take hold and do what it needed to do. And so, like, I remember the day of week 6, I decided I was going to start my training. And so I did. I started running. And to give you perspective, like in 10 years, I've had multiple hip surgeries. I've had, multiple surgeries, period. And to be able to walk sometimes is painful. And it's like a surprise every single day. I never know if it's going to be something where, surprise, I can't walk or not. And so anyway, I would like run for 30 seconds and I walk for a minute and a half, and then I'd run for 30 seconds and I walk for a minute and a half, and then that would progress. And so it was actually this past weekend that I ran my first 5K that, I was happy if it was going to be under 30 minutes, under 45 minutes. And the sad part was I used to run it in like 23 minutes. And so I'm clearly very slow, but that first one I ran, and it was like, it's one of those races which I don't ever recommend that you do, where you run and then you turn around. And so like the way there, it goes by pretty quickly, but on the way back, it doesn't. And I remember the person that started, he said, before he shot the gun, he goes, if I were you, I'd give it, you'd like go all out on your way there. And when you turn back, just do your best. And I didn't understand what he meant by that. And so, I ran, I didn't stop. I ran the whole time. On the way there, it's only 5K. And so I just remember turning around. And as I turned around, the gusts of wind, it was probably, I think it was 45 miles an hour to 50 miles an hour. I'm going to tell you it's like 120, because it was so strong. And I remember trying to run through that and just, one foot in front of the next and one foot in front of the next. And I actually finished in much less than my 45 minutes, but still it wasn't like fantastic. And so I was looking on social media, and it's like 1 year to the day. And I thought, okay, that's cool. And then I had this whole training program where I'd start with a 5K, then a 10K, then a half marathon, and then a marathon. And so a couple months later, I ran my 10K. Fantastic. I actually did really, really well. I'm so proud of myself. Went and got a massage after that. And so that was on a Saturday. And on Monday, I started to try to run and I couldn't. And the one day that I decided to run off the beaten path was, we call it the Willows, where we are. And it's like this little, there's houses on both sides on these cliffs. And then there's this path with a stream. And so in all my training, 3 months, I'd never done that before, where I ran in that area. But I decided, and I was halfway through, and all of a sudden the pain was so excruciating in my shins. I felt like I'd broken both of my tibias. And so I couldn't walk. And so I called my husband, who was very sick and his back was hurting him. And I said, I'm stranded. I can't walk. And he came and found me and picked me up, put me over his shoulder, and just carried me out of the canyon. So kudos to a husband who loves me. But we went and had an x-ray, and it turned out there was a stage, well, at the time, because it took a few weeks, but it was a stage 2 tibia fracture, which stage 4 is actually a broken. I'm sure it was closer to stage 3 by the time that I had the MRI. It had healed quite a bit. So I was told no running. I have to let it heal and go to physical therapy. And so I did. And I told my physical therapist my goal. And he just shakes his head. He's like, don't train, just go do it. And I'm like, you're an idiot. And so I thought about that for a little while, because I tried to run again. Like, I started running and I would just hurt. And so then I would give it a week or two, and then I'd try to run again, and I couldn't. And so finally, I took 3 months off. So it happened in April was when I did the tibia thing. I didn't run again until July. And so I ran. And so the most that I had trained was like 4 miles. And then I went and ran that 10K, which was 6 miles. And then I, after that, ran another couple miles, and then I got up to 4 miles again. And I realized that my hips were hurting because of the issues I have. My shins were still hurting. Like, there was honestly no way I was going to be able to accomplish my goal, which I was devastated. And so I started like just training 1.5 miles here and there, or I'd run for a half hour. And I had this route that I would run. And so some days I did really well. Other days I didn't, because I didn't drink enough water. I didn't eat. Sorry, it's late. And so anyway, I told my husband, I'm like, I'm going to run the race. And I looked up a whole bunch of different races in Utah. And I knew that like 24th of July is Pioneer Day here in Utah, that there's no way I'd be ready for that. And so then there's a few in August, but I wanted to run it, like my birthday's in November. So I'm like, okay, I'll just do it on November 16th. It's right before my birthday, but we'd have to drive down to almost Vegas to do it. And then I thought, well, if you're going to be that dumb, like if anything happens, to the drive back would be horrible. And if we flew to another state, if I injured myself, the drive back, or any type of healthcare, because we can't go out of state for healthcare. And so anyway, it was like, what do I do? And so there was only one race option that I had. It's called Big Cottonwood. And it, in marathons, you'd leave at like 4 a.m, right? And so that night before, I hadn't, like, I knew the plan to run with my marathon. Like, there was a schedule, there's a plan, but in terms of eating and a diet, I didn't have time to prepare at all. And so usually there's a 30-day diet that you can do, and it tells you like how to build up and what you should eat and things. I decided the week before to run, and so I wasn't prepared. And so I tried to eat what they told me for that week before, and I was pretty good about it. And the night before, we would go to pick up our packet, and because we lived 40 minutes away from where it was, I was afraid that I would sleep through. And so I decided that we went and took care of some things for my real estate, and then picked up the packet, which is in Timbuktu land. I don't even know why it was so far out. So we ended up getting the hotel room, my girls and I, and my husband was going to meet us later. And I laid down. I'm like, oh, I'm so tired. And I went to lay on the bed, and it was like cement. And it took my breath away. I'm like, oh. And so I called the front desk. I said, look, is there any other room that we can move to? And they're like, nope, sorry, all the beds are like this. So we can cancel you. So they were nice enough. I go, look, I'm running a marathon in a couple hours. Like, I need a good night's sleep. They said, don't worry about it. We can cancel. So super sweet about that. And then I went and found like an El Cheapo hotel, but it was okay. But at that time it was so late and I had to be up at like 4 a.m. to be able to go run. And so my husband met us and then he stayed with the girls while I went to my race. And I remember driving up there. It took like 45 minutes because it's all the way up the top of the big of Cottonwood, almost to where you go down the other side of the mountain to go to Park City. And totally unprepared. The most I'd ever run was 4 miles. And I had like 3 goo pouches in my bag. 1 I put in a bag that I would have later, and then 2 I kept in my sweatshirt because it was super cold as well in the morning, and people were just stripping all their clothes, leaving them in their bags. But I thought, no, I'd be cold, and so I kept it on. And then the line for the bathrooms was so long. Like it was so crowded. And then all of a sudden the gun goes off and everyone's gone. And I'm like, what? And so I thought, okay, well, probably should use the bathroom before so it doesn't affect my time. And somehow by the time that all the people, like I was still in line, it had been 10 minutes before I actually, from the time that the gun went off to the time that I started my race, it had been 10 minutes. And so I was super far behind everybody already, like far behind everybody. If you think about it, some people have already run almost 3 miles by that time. And so I start running and, within the first mile, I'm doing really well. Like my time is phenomenal. And like the first 4 miles, I did great because I trained for that. And then things changed. And so like it was almost a mile, like a vertical mile is the elevation that you're coming down. And so anyway, I'm running and I start to get hot. So I take off my sweatshirt, but I like my sweatshirt. So I don't want to drop it like everybody's dropping it. Because if you drop it, it's just going to get donated to a charity. And I liked it. And so when I took off my sweatshirt, one of my goos fell out on my bag, like actually both of them. So I didn't have anything left. And so the first aid station comes, no goo. The next aid station comes, no goo. The next one. And so goo is like this stuff that it's like you open up this package and it's basically like an energy type thing. And it's your fuel. That's what they call it. And so it wasn't until mile 11 that I finally had goo, that nobody had eaten all of it. And I was taking water, the electrolytes and stuff, but I was in trouble. And so by mile 13, I actually like hit the time that you're supposed to, which was 3 hours. And I was like super proud of myself because at some of the other races, had I run them, and if I not made it at the 3 mile or 3 hour mark at that point, they would have kicked me off the race. And because I hadn't trained, I knew that I was in trouble. So I'm like, I'm actually on pace. I could have run the other one. And then mile 18 happened. And it's like, wow, and to think that, because I had run a half marathon before and my time was like 2:18. And actually I was proud about that one too, because I'd only trained for three months and that was going through my divorce. But anyway, so I kept running. And by mile 20, like I called my husband and said, I need you to I had this emergency bag in my car. And so I was able to unlock my car with my phone, and then he was able to get it and then come, but he didn't know where to meet me. And so it wasn't until mile 20. So by that time I'd been depleted of everything, super bad pain. My hips were killing me. It was horrible. And I thought, how am I going to get through the rest of this? And my cute little kids just came, and my girls were yelling in the car, go Mom, as my husband's doing circles. And most people are already done, finished, and there's some people behind. But, at marathons, sometimes you have to stop and to use the bathroom. And so that took some time, and then got back on. So I was probably significantly behind just because of 2 stops. And so the pace setters that, the race is over in 6.5 minutes or 6.5 hours. And if you're not by them, then they will pull you. So anyway, they started to pass me, and I'm like, I have nothing left in the tank. And so long story short, I had my family there. They were rallying around, and I was able to finish the race in the time that I was supposed to. If you don't count that stop that I made, that took several minutes. And so it was an incredible experience to go past the line. I wish that I would have started on time, because I would have been able to be definitely under that mark. I think it was like 6 hours and 31 minutes or something, the official time, but I took that off because of the time that I had to stop and things. But I did it. And I think sometimes there's so many mental issues. Like I'd stopped sweating. My hands were so swollen, like I couldn't close them. They were just swollen open like this. And like there were so many health issues that I was probably completely unaware of. And as I crossed that line, like I kicked it in gear and I sprinted to the finish line. And as soon as I crossed, like my feet just hurt. There's so many things. I'm like, I'm in trouble. But I did it. And I thought, later my husband's like, Charisse, there's no way I could have done that. And when you have your mental capacity, I did this marathon because I needed to tell myself that I could accomplish something hard, that I could actually do it no matter what. And sometimes our bodies fail us. Sometimes our minds fail us. Sometimes our finances or other people fail us. But if you just keep going, it is going to, it's so worth it at the end. And to be able to cross that finish line was an amazing feat. And so if you are listening to this, or if you're thinking, I'm so tired and I don't know how I can continue to juggle everything, because it is hard to be a mom, to try to take care of your house, to take care of your yard, to take care of, for me, it's literally 12 things that don't include all my house and my family stuff. There's 12 things that I'm trying to do. And it's like, okay, I need to cut back. But what? Because I feel like everything's so important. But because all these things are taking my time, I'm not able to leap forward even more. And so I'm not going to quit this podcast, but I've been trying to do 4 or 5 episodes a week to try to get caught up, because there was a time I was 21 episodes behind. And so I am going to try to scale it back just a little, because it's been a lot, and I need to be able to focus on other stuff. But I'm doing this because I believe in you. I believe that you can accomplish anything, and that no matter what you face, you are unbreakable. And just like I crossed that finish line to the marathon, you can do it too. So I hope that you're enjoying these episodes. I hope that you can understand that if you are struggling, then please reach out to me. I would be more than happy to talk with you and walk you through things. I have so much experience and so much knowledge and so many different types of coaching. And so real estate, relationships, and business are my 3 things with a master's degree in business, as I've written a book now about relationships and how to do it. It has completely transformed me and my confidence in myself, and the ability to understand that it doesn't matter what anybody else thinks, as long as you're happy with yourself. And so we have to get you right first. And so that's the workshop that I've created with my book, Flipping the Iceberg. And then obviously real estate is something that I've done, because to take our family from $400,000 in the hole to multiple real estate projects that have taken us over to where we live today. And it's just been a true blessing. And so I would love to be able to share my knowledge with you as well. So if you're struggling, please don't hesitate to reach out. And I hope that you could take something from this. And I want you to go out and make it a great day. See you later. Beautiful moms, remember, you are unbreakable. Keep illuminating the world with your strength, pursuing your dreams, and reveling in the splendor of motherhood. This is Charisse Walker, bidding you farewell for now. Stay tuned for more empowering conversations on the next episode of the Unbreakable Mompreneurs podcast. Until then, keep shining bright. Signing off with love, Charisse Walker.